Hi, hello, and welcome to LearnStroke IAS classes by Arjun, and I'm Arjun Shankar. You're listening to the editorial analysis and for UPSC Current Affairs 2024. So get the important editorials and the important brief summaries. Let's find out. This is class number 7. So let's quickly move on to the first important topic that we have to study. So the first important topic is original sin. It talks about Israel and Palestine issues. So these days, very important from the perspective of GS paper 2, international relations. So these days, you get a lot of articles regarding Israel and Palestine. So it's very important to know. So previously, Israel and Palestine, there was only one land. And for all the people, you can actually check out LearnStroke's new video, which will be an explain wala, which will actually decode Israel-Palestine issue in detail. So previously, it was only one state, Israel and Palestine, and after it was actually led by the Jews, and this state was led by the Arabs. This place, this was actually a place which was dominated by the Jews and Arab, both the people, and only after 1948 Israel came into being. So before that, this was only Palestine, and after that Israel became very powerful, and there is continuous fight between Israel and Palestine after 1948, and you see later on, it was actually led by the Palestine Liberation Organization, Yasser Arafat, and now you can see that Hamas is actually controlling the Palestinian territories. So Hamas is actually creating a long scale violence in Israel, and Israel definitely attacks Palestinian territories too. So this is the basic problem, and let's see what are the important issues that we have to understand in this. So let's quickly apply the IAS filter and move on and discuss the important points at brief. So it is talking about an unsustainability of a situation, because it basically talks about Hamas and Israel. So it talks about the danger posed by Hamas to Israel. So in both the situation, you can see that both it is a problem for Israelis as well as for the Hamas. And ultimately what happens is people are losing life. It's a situation where people are losing life. So what about the ongoing violence? You see that the important place regarding the Israel-Palestine issue is the West Bank, and Israel is West Bank, and Gaza is another important area that you can understand, where you can see Palestinian people living, and Israel has been occupying these territories and creating problems for these places. And it also criticizes Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli former government, for largely ignoring the violence. So they have ignored the violence of Israel-Palestine, and they have not found out the solution, but they had other policy priorities. The Benjamin Netanyahu government's weakness is also marked. The weakness of Benjamin Netanyahu's government is also marked because they had other policy priorities. So this is something that we have to discuss. And remember the West Bank. And this is the closest map that you can actually have a look at this. So when you see, you have a huge area like this, and you nearby you can see that this is the Egypt, which is actually having this territory, and nearby you have Jordan, and you have Syria on this side. And you can see Israel is completely big, and this small area, you can clearly see that this small area is what is called as Gaza. This small area is Gaza, and this is the area of West Bank. So previously this was Jerusalem city, and this was East Jerusalem. The East Jerusalem was previously controlled by Jordan, and Gaza was controlled by Egypt. When later on Israel completely took over West Bank and Gaza. So you see that this point, in these areas, you can clearly see that these areas in the Gaza area and in the West Bank area, there are Palestinian people. So this is where Israel completely creates, Israel has been creating issues on these areas, and a lot of people are being killed. So know this idea. So have a small idea regarding that. And the Hamas attack. Know what is Hamas. So the reason Hamas attack is something they are actually drawing it as a parallel of Yom Kippur War in the 1973. And everybody says that the Hamas violence is not going to benefit Israeli civilians, or it will not even benefit Palestinian people. It is not going to benefit anybody actually. So that is the key important point that they're trying to tell. And the root cause of the ongoing conflict is what is said as Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territory. So that is what I said. The all-time issue is Israel is trying to occupy the regions of Palestinian people. This is Palestine. Israel is trying to always occupy these regions. And Israel has also created settlements inside this. they've actually created settlements inside this, which is also something that you can really see in this scenario. And they've also forced control on the people in the West Bank, using force to control Palestinians in the West Bank. So one is, you can always see that the occupation of Palestinian territories is one point, and they are building settlements as the next point, and they are actually using control in the Palestinian people is another important thing that you can see. So I think these are the need to end Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories is a crucial step. So occupation of Palestinian territories should come to an end is something that we have to see at this point. So definitely when that it's coming to an end, there will be peace between Israel and Palestine. Uh, let's see that what happens. So this is the most important thing that the article says. So we have a question here. What are the article's main arguments regarding the importance of addressing the core issue of Palestinian question for achieving peace and stability in the region? So you can actually cut down what are the main arguments. You can cut down this thing. What are the main arguments regarding the importance of addressing the core issue of Palestinian question for achieving peace and stability in the region? So how is this even possible? So how can you actually achieve this is another important thing that you can remember here. So that is the brief issue regarding the Israel-Palestine issue. And moving on quickly to the next important issue is silence around around the state seizure of India's press. Again, an important article regarding GS paper 2. It can talks about governance, and it talks about various laws, the legal perspectives on those. So this actually revolves around the most important news called the news click, because in recent times you know that and an online English portal called NewsClick is actually it's actually under the monitoring of the government, and a lot of raids, seizures are happening inside this, because they say that these people have illegally taken funds from the Chinese people. This is the allegation, that these people have taken illegal funds from the Chinese people and are creating pro-Chinese developments in Indian media, and they are circulating this. So recently the promoter, the founder of this NewsClick was arrested. Everybody, the offices are being the offices is completely getting raided. So this article talks about the issue of NewsClick and what should be done in this regard. So let's quickly understand this issue. Apply the IAS filter, and let's take the most important points. As you say, the article talks about ADM Jabalpur case. It's a very popular case in India, and in this case it said the Supreme Court ruled that in the state of emergency, I think you must be remembering the 1970s, in the state of emergency, individuals couldn't challenge illegal detention. If you're arrested without anything, if you're arrested without warrant, if somebody arresting you arbitrarily, you've been arrested. So during the time of emergency, you cannot question that. So this was a ADM Jabalpur case, and you can see Justice H.R. Khanna in those times dissented from this decision, which is seen as a courageous act. So definitely this is something that you should know when you read your post-independence consolidation or post-independence India for civil service. You will find that, is it good that whether it is an emergency or not, you are detained illegally without anything. So that is not good. So H.R. Khanna dissented. So remember this case, ADM Jabalpur. And in another case, Justice K.S. Puttaswamy, the Supreme Court recognized the right to privacy and explicitly rejected the ADM Jabalpur decision. And it said that it is a discordant note. So in the Justice K.S. Puttaswamy also clearly said the same thing. It said right to privacy should be recognized, and the ADM Jabalpur case will not hold. So these two cases are actually mentioned inside this article. So it's very important that you have a small idea regarding what is the ADM Jabalpur case and Justice H.R. Khanna, where you believe that this is not a right thing. So this article definitely discusses these two important claims, and you can see the online portal called NewsClick, the Editors Guild issue statement, because NewsClick, they apparently say that they got Chinese funding, and they are actually using the online platforms to promote pro-Chinese, and which is actually against the media. But what happens is, whenever you have an issue like this, always understand, whenever you have an issue at this time which is targeted towards the media, and on the other side you have the government which is on the side. So the media is being targeted. A media called X is targeted. So the government has targeted this. So what happens is there are other n number of medias together. There are n number of media houses. So what normally happens is whenever there is an action like this, what happens is all of this media stands together. They'll actually stand together. So this article also expresses that there is no evidence. Whatever allegations the government has actually done, the article says that there is no evidence, and they say the judiciary should act very strongly. So they believe that the judiciary should act very strongly. That is why they are given the examples of ADM Jabalpur case, Puttaswamy case, etc. So judiciary, whenever they take that is why Justice HR Khanna was say, when you feel that there is a wrong happening, you should definitely say that there is a wrong. So this is in short the article which is talking in the context of NewsClick. So have an idea regarding this. And the next important thing is regarding, it talks about India's press freedoms and ranking and the scrutiny of media. India's low ranking in the World Press Freedom Index, and mentions that many media entities have faced scrutiny from investigative and tax agencies in recent years. So government is definitely targeting a lot of the tax agency of the government, and investigative agencies are targeting the media. Basically, India is actually having a low press freedom according to the index. It's actually low ranking in the World Press Index. So have an idea what is the World Press Index? What is the World Press Index? And also we say there is a need for a big legal reform. Why? Because we need to protect the personal data during search and seizures. Whenever there is a raid, how will we protect the personal data? And in the just as established by the DK Basu case, and it calls for the understanding of a current the policing methods, the impact on the fundamental rights, and the path to reform. So you need a big time legal reform also. If you're raiding, definitely have a protection of personal data, have new policing methods, etc. So these are the things that the article is saying. And what about the clash between legal provisions and right to privacy? So whenever there is a big time conflict between legal provisions, often clash with right to privacy and protection against self-incrimination as guaranteed. So what is the concept of self-incrimination? So is that mentioned in the Constitution of India? So what is the concept of self-incrimination? And it's a clean thing. Whenever there is a legal provision, it always clashes with the right to privacy. Do you agree with this? When you want to implement something, it always clashes to right to privacy. And again, it highlights the risk of personal and professional communication being exposed, and how this is an intrusion. So it is actually saying such moves are always a threat to journalism. To have a free media, it's important that you keep journalists free. And it also concludes by calling on Supreme Court of India to demonstrate judicial courage as exemplified by Justice HR Khanna in the ADM Jabalpur. So these are all the personal opinions of the people who write the editorial. But in civil service examination, we do not, unless and until there is a critically analysis question, but do not actually criticize largely the judiciary, because not that it is a contempt of court, but you can do not completely go by political lines. If you write the civil service exam, do not go by that political line. But definitely we can say that judiciary can learn from HR Khanna's dissent in ADM Jabalpur case. So this is the brief article summary of this article. And again, we have two important questions. How has the concept of right to privacy evolved in India? How does it relate to the protection of digital data in the context of law enforcement action? So it's an important question. How is the right to privacy involved in India? And next is an important question. What challenges do journalists and media entities in India face regarding press freedom and digital data protection? So this is also a general question. So try to answer all these questions and let's see how it works. And moving on to the next important article is regarding mental health. It's a very good article. Again, when you say mental health, again, you should say GS paper 2 health is the most important perspective that you should be knowing. So the article clearly talks about how it is very important to have a mental health. So in India right now, we have an issue where everybody, whether it is elderly people, whether it is the youth, surprisingly the youth, the young people in India have a various mental health challenges. And especially when you say, you will see the people working in the informal sector. The people working in the informal sector have a lot of problems regarding to mental health. So what are the aspects? Let's quickly find out what are the important challenges regarding that. Let's apply the IAS filter and let's take an important idea. So recently we're talking about the World Mental Health Day and its theme. So what is the World Mental Health Day in 2023? The theme is mental health as a universal human right. So this can even be asked as an essay question also. For civil service also, you can get an essay question, mental health as a universal health right, human right. And it is also recognizing that mental health should also be a fundamental right. This can also be a good question. Should mental health is also a fundamental right, and emphasizes the importance of, and the statistics clearly say that the study of ILO, International Labour Organization, clearly say that 15% of working age adults worldwide have mental disorder. So very important, 15% of working age people in around the world have mental disorders. So what are the main reasons which they say? One is nature of unemployment, the way you work, unemployment, unstable jobs, workplace discrimination. You are getting discriminated in the workplace, unsafe working condition can all impact the mental health care. So these are the important things. So nature of employment, unemployment, unstable job, workplace discrimination, unsafe working condition are all creating mental health care problems for the young people in India right now and globally also. So that is the larger analysis. And you can say that 90, what about the informal workforce? You know that when you compare formal and informal workforce, so more than 90% of the working population. So the informal workforce, when you compare working population, 90% of them are in informal workforce. So what are the challenges? Like there is a lack of a regulatory protection, unsafe condition, long working hours, and there is no access to social and financial protection or job insecurity or discrimination. So all these are the problems that the young people relate to in India. And on top of that, there is gender disparity. Especially women are discriminated. With over 95% of working women engaged in, you can say that 95% of the people, women who are working, are engaged in low paying and precarious employment. Very dangerous or very compromising situations. They have to work on that. And also, apart from all this work problems, they have patriarchal issues or the patriarchal structures that is actually in place, that is also creating problems for the women. So even women have got big time mental health problems or mental disorders due to work. And what are some of the important other points? Let me quickly mark about the youth unemployment. So you can see that the societal stigma that you're not getting job negatively influencing young people, that you're still at this age and you're not finding. So unemployment among the youth is also a big time problem. What about the elderly workers? They do not have a proper healthcare security, and significant number of old people are working in the informal sector, exposing them to mental and physical health. You see that the old people working as watchmen and even other they're doing petty jobs in big companies and informal sector, they are exposed to huge mental and physical health. And what about the social security and mental health? And you can see that the issues like debt, rising healthcare cost, economic instability, very poor salary. So all these debt is a big time issue. So these are creating social security also need to be improving. And what are the importance of shortcomings? What are the shortcomings in the, so we need to have a universal social security, but not that we talk about like a code of social security, not like the present one. We need to have universal social security system where everything can be taken care. We definitely have a social security code, but it is not that. And also alignment with sustainable development goals or SDG, very particularly like SDG number 3 on good health, and SDG 8 on decent work for all and economic growth. So in this concept SDG, we can see SDG 3 and 3 and 8. So these are the important points that the article says. So definitely these are important things to be remembered. Now let's quickly take the question. What is the theme of the World Mental Health Day in 2023, and why is it significant in the context of human rights? It's also a good question. How does the employment, especially in the informal sector, impact the mental health of workers? And what are the challenges faced by India's informal workforce in this regard? This is also an important question. What are the key concerns raised in the article regarding the, so you can cut this. So what are the key concerns regarding the mental health of youth, elderly workers, and the need for improved social security policy in India. So this is something that you have to be very ready clear on that. What are some of the concerns regarding that? So please do check out this. And moving on to the next important is capturing the rains. India needs an all-weather insurance against vagaries of global climate. So this again talks about GS paper 1, geophysical phenomena. And what are the important geophysical phenomena, the climate, the important aspects regarding geography. So GS paper 1, geography, this is very important in this perspective. And let's apply the IAS filter and check out the important summarizing points. So recently the article talks about deficit monsoons in India. Usually India is always known for getting good monsoon. So India has reported a deficit monsoon in 2023. That means it received less rainfall, close to 82 centimeter, than the normal average. Just the normal average, not even the increase. The normal average is 89. But we have even come down. It's not about high. We have come down to the normal, below the normal, between June and September. So this was the first deficit monsoon since 2018. So that is also to be noted here. And what are the factors affecting monsoons? You can get this question for prelims in geography, but this is from the current affairs. You can see there were early indications of subdued monsoon due to. So please remember, always understand, this is very, very important for the exam. What is the concept of El Nino and what is La Nina? Please try to understand this. You will definitely get questions regarding this. So there were indications of a subdued monsoon due to the presence of El Nino, which is a warming of the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. So El Nino, which normally typically leads to reduced rainfall in India. So it's a warming of this. What El Nino, definitely remember the word. It's a warming, and it caused reduced rainfall in India. But however, in the recent years, had seen the opposite of La Nina, which is associated with above normal rainfall. So please try to understand the concept of La Nina. So these are some of the factors that can affect the monsoon, El Nino and La Nina. And unusual monsoon variability. So 2023 was far from ordinary. While some areas received excess rainfall, while others faced deficient. That is the reason why we have floods. When there is no uniformity, there is unusual variability. Some areas had high rainfall. Obviously, they had a much more higher occurrence of flood and need for resilient infrastructure. So this is the key concept of this editorial. That means we need to have the word. Please remember the word resilient infrastructure. We need to invest. India needs to do what? Invest in more resilient infrastructure to cope up with the unpredictable effects of global climate change. That is clear. That should be very, very important. And we need to have what else? Apart from resilient for infrastructure, what? We need to have a better forecasting model. Forecasting model is very important. And we need to invest on the forecasting model and have a resilient infrastructure to mitigate the impact of extreme weather events. So this is not in our control. Weather is not in our control, but we can definitely create resilient infrastructure, and good forecasting models can actually help in this regard. And the importance of forecasting is again given. So while the importance of forecasting is again very important. So always have a better forecasting. So this article clearly, the unpredictable nature, the word is unpredictable nature of monsoon. So whatever be the unpredictable nature, we should be always ready with the climate change. Whatever issue comes with climate change, we will be ready for that. So invest in resilient infrastructure and improved forecasting. So this is the key concept of this editorial. So let's quickly go to the important questions. I have 3 questions. What are the key factors contributing to the deficit monsoon in India in 2023? Why was it different from the recent monsoon pattern? So this talks about a pattern. How did the variability in monsoon rainfall affect different regions of India? And what were some of the specific consequences such as floods and drought-like situation? So in this, you have to give out examples of the recent issue also. What measures does the article suggest? So again, I'm just sorry with this. What measures does what measures do you think India should take to prepare for unpredictable impacts of climate change, and why is improving forecast models considered crucial in this context? Again, this is important. So what measures should India take to better prepare for the unpredictable impact of climate change, and why forecasting models are crucial in this context? So definitely try to find the answers. You can definitely find the answers from the points given below. So moving on to the Last important editorial, building bricks for the future. Again, a classic article of GS paper 2, international relationship. So let's quickly understand. uh, it article quickly talks about the importance of bricks, why bricks is very important in this regard, and what is the future of bricks, and in this bricks what is the future, especially India and China. Definitely that has been discussed in this article. So let's quickly apply the IAS filter, and let's find out the important sub points regarding that. So number one is regarding the BRICS as an economic bloc. So it is not similar to what we have like NATO, etc. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, something that we clearly see here. So it emphasized that BRICS emerged primarily due to economic reasons and doesn't provide military or security like NATO. So unlike the military and the security aspect of NATO, the main concern of BRICS is the economic aspect, bringing together Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa as a emerging economic power. When economy power, when when you grow economically, everything follows. So it's very different from NATO, and it also underscores the China and India's role. They are the two BRIC members which are the world's fastest growing economies and significant population. So definitely India and China, even though we have their own differences in BRICS, they are key dominant positions. And article clearly mentions about the alternate to US influence. BRICS can also become an alternate to the US influence because many countries in the world are uncomfortable with the US approach towards China. Because what happens is US basically does not like two people. In international relationship perspective, you'll understand that US have their own difference between Russia and China. So what happens is US is actually driving away China, and there are many other countries which are dependent on China also, and there are many countries which are dependent on US also. So what happens is this international equation, many countries are not liking about the US approach towards China, but BRICS offers an alternate where China doesn't dominate. So in BRICS, definitely you can say that China cannot dominate in this. Why? Because you have Brazil, you have Russia, and you have India. So that is the counterweight. That is the counterweight. So Russia will not dominate in this, and there should be, and in that case, definitely we will create an alternate to the US. So that is something that the article talks about. And the rise of digital currency, very important. Both India and China have made advancements in digital currency. So that is actually position made India and China even ahead of US and Europe. Our use of digital currency. So they aim to promote their currencies in international trade and investment. So in term, what has happened is in the long time, US and China will reduce the reliance on US dollar. Very, very important. So they will definitely reduce the reliance on US dollar because we are becoming self-sufficient. And Africa's economic potential. That is the reason why everybody is seeing Africa as a potential. India is actually making good relationship between the African Union, and Africa is going to be the biggest potential or economic growth driver. Africa is going to be the economic growth driver, and some negatives have also happened because the France's intervention in Niger has created a big problem in Niger. The Niger crisis, you must have heard about all those concepts, and that is the reason why. And the European treatment of migrants. So Africa at this point wants to slowly move away from Europe because of the bad experience of Europeans, especially regarding migration and France. Africa would like to explore more about the other countries, especially Asia, and definitely that would become India will definitely be a big country in this regard. So this will create huge economic potential from Africa. So this is also relating to this article. So let's give you a quick important question. What is the primary reason for the formation of BRICS grouping, and how does it differ from the organizations like NATO in terms of focus and objectives? So a good question right about this. How do China and India contribute to the economic significance of BRICS? Why is their cooperation crucial for the group's success? What factors are driving countries to seek alternatives to US influence, and how does BRIC provide such an alternative? What factors are driving countries to seek alternates to US influence, and how does BRIC provide such an alternative? So 3 questions are important. Try to write and try to find the answers to all these questions. So I think we have come to the end of this class, and please do subscribe to our channel, LearnStroke IAS classes by Arjun, and please do share it with your friends, and check out the Instagram channel and Telegram channel. And if you want anything for more course inquiries, you can also WhatsApp on this number. So let's discuss the important sessions in other class. So see you. Best of luck for all the aspirants. Prepare well.